Alright, got paired on the play, that's pretty great. Not a great hand here. Not a great hand here, but I think we have to keep. Hey everyone, how's it going? This is the yesterday's league, so we're up 2-0. And I'm gonna keep this not so great hand. And I think I bought him a canopy. I think that's correct. Start fetching for a basic. Yeah, I'm trying to go for that sweet trophy. Obviously, why else would you be playing? Let's see what we're up against here. Hopefully nothing too annoying. This could be anything. This probably means it's a removal for Swift Spear. This is just an awful draw. I'm gonna attack. My opponent's gonna be forced to fetch. Fetching for a shock probably means it's Jund, and because of that I want to get rid of my hand pretty quickly, because opponent was nice enough to take damage. We can cast these, and now he's probably gonna... he might discard us, or this symbolizes a Goyf. And if it's a Goyf, yeah. Too bad, opponent. And now we draw gas. Oof, beautiful draw here. Decisions. I'm gonna play the Sunbaked Canyon because I want to have it for a random discard for my opponent. I want to have it on board instead of the foothills, because a fetch land helps thin out your deck, but a canopy is just a draw, so it's better. This could be Liliana. If it's Liliana, we're in a fine place, yeah. I'm gonna wait for him to uptick. Now there's an argument to kill Liliana here, but I think that with them at 9, we really can't be wasting damage on Liliana. And this is pretty great. Now, if we could top deck a creature, not a land. That's super bad. Oh, damn. We gotta pass and discard the land, because if we see any form of damage we can kill him. Unless he plays some discard here. Cloth is in the main board. Now that's pretty rough. So we're forced to find some damage. It's not impossible since we've seen a couple of lands by now. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 lands out of our deck. So, Grande Goldburn, thank you very much. Let's see if we can do it. That's not great. So now he's going back up to 7 with this. But we can still get there. It's just gonna be harder. And this is about to pop off. It's gonna be a bit rough here. Drawing way too many lands. So Boar's Charm does it. Him fetching might help. And he's probably might gonna do it. Tarmogoyf is not great for us. It kills a bunch of our draws. Because now we can't draw Goblin Guide nor Swift Sphere. And even Eidolon's not great here. And Incinerator is terrible. So we might lose this one. Ideally we get Bolt Bolt. This is good. Now, how do I want to do this? Do I want to? It's game 1, so it's weird that he has Clothes in the main board, but this is game 1. Rift Bolt. Do I want to suspend it and crack a canopy? Or do I want to just hard... I think I want to suspend it. But if I hard cast it, my opponent's off this fetch land. But if he cracks the fetch land, he's still there to Seal of Fire. So I think I'm gonna go like this. Yeah, suspend now in case of obscurity. Yeah, I'm gonna suspend and crack the canopy. Sounds the best line. But I'm basically forced to draw something here. And with him at 6, if he doesn't crack this, it needs to be exactly a lightning bolt, which I have a lot in my deck, to be honest. He has exiled 2 of them. No, sorry, yeah, 2 of them. I have a 3rd here, so I have like 9 bolts in my deck, and Boar's Charm still does it. So I have a lot that kills him. But I'm also at 7. So I'm dead next turn. He did activate it. Or did he not? In one of a random turn. Oh, he didn't? That's actually pretty great. Something... He might have Kolaghan's command. But like, he would always have Kolaghan's command. Oh, that's actually a pretty good one. Killing the Boros Charm. That's actually pretty decent. Now we need a land or a bolt, which is not terrible. Land or bolt? Land. Yeah, that was pretty clutch, gotta admit. A great move by opponent. Killing my white source. Got a bit lucky there, but I also drew tons of lands early on. Now for sideboarding, what do I want here? I really like Incinerator. They have not a lot of answers for it. It's basically down to Liliana and Assassin's Trophy. Not sure. I think I want all of the skull cracks, because a single skull crack can punish a slow cloth escape from them. And I think that on the draw, because their Liliana can come out on curve and kill my turn 2 Incinerator, I wanna sideboard it out. It's like a single path. Sounds okay. Because their best, like their early goyfs can really race us. So this path is probably the right choice here. It's a very decent hand. No creatures, but also Jund tends to keep removal heavy hands, so I think we keep here. Like, trying to mull for a perfect hand against Jund is not great, so they have removal, which is great for us. So I might basic here, because like they show that they were willing to cut me off of white with Assassin's Trophy, so I kind of wanted the option to fetch for another white source if I need to. So I think that the correct line here is land into Riftbolt. Should update the score. Where is it? Current score. So it's 2-0. So did my opponent... It's just fetching, okay. So yeah, an early Tarmogoyf's not great. Do I want to kill it? I think I do, right? Because this can get out of hand pretty quickly, especially if my opponent's next turn is something like Collective Brutality. So I think I have to kill it. I can kill it with Riftbolt. No, I can't seal it because it would have grown to a 2-3, and Riftbolt was already gonna come off suspend, so it would have been a 3-4 if I cracked seal for it. So it has to be either Rift Bolt or Lightning Bolt before the Rift Bolt goes off. Let's see what I draw here. Lightning Bolt's a pretty okay draw. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass. Because if my opponent discards me, I'm gonna double bolt. Or do I just Boros Charm? Maybe I just Boros Charm. Is it Tarmogoyf? Alright, so he might not have this card, which is great. So now I fetch for a basic and I double bolt him. I'm gonna shock myself. I have to shock here. And I think that because of some random discards, I have to main phase this. But if he has something like Collective Brutality, it can just drain me without any problems. So... but he probably will. I don't see him respecting the Skullcrack. All that. Maybe he does. I think I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna play Seal of Fire and threaten open mana to dissuade him from going for a Collective Brutality. So hopefully he doesn't have much here. So I'm on a pretty tight clock. I think I can't be cracking this anytime soon, because it does speed Goyf's current clock. And I definitely need to hold off on this, because it also increases Goyf's clock. And I can't really, with Goyf hitting me, I can't really afford to play around Weather the Storm, which people love to run, so I just have to go for it here. This probably represents removal plus Kolaghan's command. That would be my bet. Yeah, okay, so he trophies the land. That's fine. It's down to 9. If I draw a bolt here... not a bolt, but it works. Sadly, I'll have to pump up the Goyf. And I'll go from a 4-turn clock to a... if it goes up to 5, it's actually a 2-turn clock. But I think I have to do it. I really can't afford holding on to that, and then my opponent just discards it. He probably has a lightning bolt in hand, so I need to be careful about that one, considering my life total. So I think next turn will be my last. Now he can't crack this fetch land. If he plays something like a Clothis, he might be fine. If this is a Kolaghan's command for our upkeep, we are definitely not fine. So if he has double bolt, we die, but if we let him, if we fetch for tapped, we die to a single bolt. So we just gotta go for it. There's no other way around it. Or bolt Kolagan's command. And I think he would have Kolagan's command on my upkeep, on my draw step there. Okay, so I'm gonna punish that. Was gonna shock myself, lol, had just lands, GG's opponent. It's behind my face on screen, but opponents, that's what my opponent said. I was gonna shock myself, lol. Okay, so he was gonna kill himself and I didn't even let him do that. Alright, so trio. I can wait. I couldn't wait. I mean, I could wait, because Goif wouldn't kill me outright, but then I was dead to anything like Kolagan's command, because I would still need to crack the fetch and I would go down to 7, I would be dead to Bolt, I would be dead to a ton of their cards. And on turn 1, he kinda represented that he had a Bolt, because he played a fetch and didn't discard me, and I think that the only way that John keeps a hand for a turn 2 Goif is with some turn 1, like he didn't draw anything, right? I mean, yeah, but he would just attack. I mean, I could have, but that's one extra draw step. So, like, them not running Force of Negation just means that there's no real reason to wait. If it were a blue deck, I would probably wait, but not like this. So we're trio, 6-0. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Let's see if we can turn this into a good one. It's already a decent one. Going even is the dream. Like the lower floor of the dream. I'd like to dodge Eldrazi as much as possible, and those like hateful decks like Ad Nauseam or Bogles. I'm on the play again, that's pretty great. And this hand is pretty interesting. Like, this Incinerator is uncastable, but three Goblin Guides might just win the game. I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna fetch for a basic here. Because I'm not sure what the matchup is and I want to conserve my life total. Let's see what we're up against. Eldrazi. Alright, so this is a great start. Yeah, this is a great start to the game. Now he needs Matter Reshaper. I think he just dies. And these are great reveals. Like, they will always have mana, so a land doesn't really bother me. Especially one that's like a basic against us. He needs Matter Reshaper. So yeah, but yeah. Chalice on 1, and I don't care. So we reveal Thought Knots here, so we know that's coming. But I think it doesn't matter what my opponent does. because it's gonna go down to 2, and unless he kills all of these, but of course he's gonna play that Thought Knot Seer. He just surrenders, of course. Yeah, triple Goblin Guide is just crazy. It dies pretty hard to Anger of the Gods, but even against Anger of the Gods it does like something crazy like 10 damage. So now sideboard wise, obviously including Smashed Smithereens. We were talking about this on Discord. I cut Eidolons, obviously. Like, even though Goblin Guy just gave me the game, like a turn 2 Matter Reshaper into a Thought Knot Seer would have bricked my hand completely. So I like cutting 2 guides for the Skullcracks. And I might play explosives, because this kills Chalice for 2 mana. I play it on 0 and it kills Chalice of the Void. So I think I want to play it. But it doesn't really do anything else, does it? Do I want to play Engineered Explosives? I think I do. It sounds fine. I don't like playing Path to Exile, because Thought Knot Seer takes it away if you have it beforehand, and he just almost a good hand. If we draw any form of Rift Bolt or Seal of Fire, we just win, but I don't really like those odds. I like these odds much more. So I'm gonna bottom a Skullcrack. Chalice on 1 is rough because we have a Lightning Bolt, but I think this is the best hand we could ask for. No, the best hand we could ask for is Skewer here instead of Lightning Bolt. It's the general burn Discord. Seal of Fire here is okay, because I can play around Chalice. I can Seal of Fire now, and I'm forcing my... if not, my opponent doesn't Chalice, I can Incinerator, and if he does, I can suspend Rift Bolt and set up a turn 3 Incinerator. This could be a Reshaper. No plays from opponent. So this is great for us. He doesn't even have Tron for Ugin. So this is pretty great. And now we still beat Chalice on 1 if he tries. Okay, that's fine. Just fast turn. Eldrazi Temple. So he probably has a Reality Smasher. Which I cannot beat. A Matter Reshaper? That's fine. Smash the Smithereens is great here. I'm just gonna attack. Then I'm gonna trample with this. So that Ugin can actually kill my Incinerator, but he doesn't have the mana for it. I'm just gonna suspend this Rift Bolt. Yeah, this game just went so great for us. Like, no Chalice. Like, opponent kept a pretty bad hand, to be honest. Like, turn 3 Meta Reshaper, like, what the hell is that hand? Yeah, this is definitely the Tron Dream. So we're 4-0, which is pretty great. Pretty great. And now we probably get paired up against Ad Nauseam or Mono White or Eldrazi Tron again, and they just kill us. Let's go, let's go, let's go. There's a fly around here. .40 in half an hour. It was 2-0. I left the league 2-0 yesterday, so we just played 2 matches here. But yeah, with burn leagues don't really take that long. A league is usually 1 hour and a half tops, which is pretty great if you're just trying to go even frequently. Alright, let's see if we can get a lucky pair. I think I know this name. I think I've played against it. Let's check. Yeah, 2 trophies. It's quite something. You won the die roll. Yeah, winning die rolls has been pretty great, and this hand is pretty great. Unless my opponent exactly goes like Swamp Inquisition of Kozilek. I even think we just play Meza and pass the turn. Just to add a little info. Because Arid Meza, like, Dredge also plays all red fetches and doesn't really care which. So we could very well be Dredge. Not sure if it makes a ton of difference in their decision making, but... So this is Amulet. So a terrible matchup. However, a slow Amulet hand, meaning this Eidolon will actually make tons of damage. Does Amulet play islands? Am I getting bamboozled here? Like, this might be some weird brew, like a Field of the Dead control deck. Yeah, there's something iffy going on around here. This is pretty bad for sideboarding, because if I don't know what my opponent is on, he could literally be playing anything. So we bolt here. Now we fetch. If he plays Shadow of Doubt, he still takes 2 damage. I'm gonna go for a basic, because This is a bit scary. Now I'm unsure if I can attack. What is my opponent on? Do I not attack here? Like, what am I supposed to do? Okay, so my opponent is locked out of CMC 3 or under. This is really weird. Cryptic command. Shark Typhoon. Okay, buddy. Like, what matches like these are so weird when one just lets you kill him and does nothing. Yeah. What? I have no clue. This might be like a weird banned list, but I'm not super sure. I definitely don't want Incinerator with him playing blue. I definitely want Skullcrack because nobody plays blue-green without playing Uro. Same goes for Surgical. I'm not gonna side in Smash until I see Stoneforge. What don't I want here? Probably Seal of Fire. It's probably our weakest card. So let's go in like this. Why not crack immediately? Playing around Cryptic Command. Like I attack and oh, crack immediately the Canopy. Because if it's something that I can't play and my opponent just randomly discards me, like I have no clue what I'm up against, so if he discards me, I can't really do anything. This hand's too risky, sadly. This hand's bad, sadly. This hand's keepable. So if my opponent is on a weird brew, I really have to play around everything I can. So without Eidolon, I can just fetch for a shock here. Because if my opponent's playing Field of the Dead, chances are he's also playing Field of Ruin. So Sultai. Alright, that's fine. That's fine-ish. Draws him a land, no big deal. I see, better not discard goes in theory. Yeah, but he has black, see? Like, I wasn't that wrong. If he played like Swamp, Inquisition, and I had Boros Charm, he couldn't because he was at one, but still. I don't like to risk it. So this could be Aethergust. Like that, not cracking immediately for a 1-mana spell is definitely not like a big mistake. But if I have the luxury to play around stuff, Chalice of the what the hell am I playing against? I'm really at a loss of words here. Repeal, turn target to his owner's hand, draw a card. Alright. Now this hand's great against this. Hopefully just jams it. Just jamming it on one. See you later guys. Good luck, boss. Fire him up. We're trying. We're up a game against random deck. Chalice on one is fine. We have 10, 13, so we only really need something else here. Lava spikes, unfortunately not great. And I feel that my opponent's gonna try an Uro. I have no clue what this pile is. Yeah, obviously Uro here, so we just crack it. Land here is pretty great, because it means that our skewer is not dependent on something else. Now hopefully my opponent doesn't go like Uro and I crack it and he goes like Weather the Storm. It kinda looks like that's it. Remand. Alright. That's kinda bad for us, but we can deal with it. Can't even surgical the Euro because of Chalice. What did he put on top? Chooses not to use. Really? Let's go for a tap chalk. We don't really need the mana right now, but we also don't need to draw lands. Which of course we do immediately. Might as well play it. We're not running Searing Blaze, so... Now opponent is very close to escaping Uro. Okay, so here's what. I want to hold on to this Skull Crack, because I'm not winning off of it. So I'm just gonna crack this. Hopefully I can find something that's not 1 mana. I find another land. Not great, not great. Quite confused about what opponent's playing. Hour of Prom. Oh yeah, so he had Field of the Dead. So he's going for the zombie kill. That's a bunch of zombies. So me being at 13 and him probably dropping the land here. Yeah. So itself. Then that into. So what are our good draws here? Again, I don't want to skull crack because it's gonna escape Uro next turn. They probably has counter, but I really can't be too scared of that. This is not great. I'm gonna crack it immediately because if I draw a Rift Bolt, I wanna suspend it. Yeah, I think it's GG. Like, I can't win, right? I go 3 even if it resolves. This deck sucks. Well, yeah, but Chalice is like a card that doesn't do anything in the current meta except against us. Because like even Prowess can play around it pretty well, but people just love playing bad hate cards. So now that we know what we're up against, kind of, we bought in Smash. We bought out the remaining Seal of Fire, like 1 Lava Spike. Actually 2 Lava Spike, because Engineered Explosives answers Chalice. Okay, so we're a bit better equipped. I'm not gonna run Pyroclasm, because if he has at a point that he's just making a ton of zombies. Oh yeah, we're getting punished for no reason. Yeah, it's just absurd that my opponent has a random card to beat us, and this hand's great. We're just snap keeping it. Like double Eidolon, and our opponent can play cards for a bunch of turns and has to deal with them because they'll be attacking. So we go turn 1 shock or vantage, it's the same. Suspend Rift Bolt, and we even have the Skull Crack to like punish Uro. In case we draw a basic. Like with double Eidolon I kinda want to preserve my life total. Now if opponent is also playing Weather the Storm and just gets me, I'll just lose, I guess. This is decent for us. Like, they probably have Opt as a turn 1 play. They might have Spell Snare. But at this point, I cannot afford to play around Spell Snare. See, they don't have Spell Snare. Collective Brutality here is fine. So nothing. Decisions. If I go Swift Spear and attack, he can snap my Eidolon. Then I play the second one. He also has Remand. So I think I'm gonna try to bait out the Remand with Swift Spear. Snap. Yeah, that's fine. That's honestly fine. Now I get to play the other one. And even my opponent plays Uro, he's only gaining 1, so he's going to 14 and tapping out, which is quite dangerous against us. I'm not gonna lie. So this is 100% Uro, yeah. Up to 14, no big problem. A surgical here would be great. Bolt's pretty decent. Just bolt face. Now we have lethal on board next turn with this Skullcrack. So my opponent really needs to do something. And he doesn't drop a land, he doesn't play anything, he doesn't have double blue, triple blue for Cryptic Command. So we're just gonna attack. So he has Snapcaster. Shark Typhoon. Alright, alright. My bad, I didn't really play around Shark Typhoon. But I just play second idle on here. So now they can't really be tapping out for Uro. They go back to 7, but then I have board pressure and they won't have mana to... So this is Hour of Promise for a bunch of zombies. So any Bolt-like card wins. And sadly, like we had to board in Smash the Smithereens. There's no way that we can let Chalice of the Void just simply take over the game. Rift Bolt's pretty great. I can suspend it and force my opponent to basically have something great this turn or just lose next turn. And I'm getting a bit scared of Weather the Storm. Because opponent can just wait for me to go for lethal and play Weather the Storm. So now I can't attack. Opponent's digging for something. He has enough blue now. Hopefully he doesn't draw anything. And Rift Bolt just puts him in a dangerous place. He has enough mana for like Weather the Storm and then remand my Skullcrack and gain some life. And now we're at that dangerous spot where I don't really want to Skullcrack if he doesn't do anything. But if I draw a 2-mana spell, I'm also kinda screwed. So attacking with one zombie here is smart. I'm just gonna let it go through. Bolt is the best draw. Like just straight up lightning bolt. If he has remand, it's pretty bad. Alright, so Goblin Guide's great here. Do we play the Goblin Guide? Like if we play Goblin Guide and attack, my opponent has to Cryptic. And he still has mana for Cryptic Weather the Storm. sadly. Do I just die if he... oh yeah, he can't weather the storm. Oh, that's actually... that makes it much easier. So, if he cryptics, he cannot answer this Skullcrack. Yeah, yeah, good point, good point, good point. I think we cannot lose it. Oh, wait, 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 wait. He has Blast Zone. We can't attack. Wait, we can. This costs 3 to activate, so 1, 2, 3. And then he can't cast anything. Yeah, we got him. Growth Spiral, sure. So he now activates Blast Zone. Is this it? Is there any card that beats us here? Apart from like draft card, to gain 7 life out of 5 mana. Cryptic commands. Okay, so we just win here, right? Like he cannot force this. He cannot weather the storm. So we just win. GG. Yeah, good point. Good thinking there that he can't play Weather the Storm. Like I was very scared that he would go for Cryptic Weather the Storm. He had the Cryptic, and I'm inclined to believe that he had the Weather the Storm. But we managed the trophy, which is pretty great. Which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy now. So we got the 6. Here we are at 6. Still, I don't think that we break. Yeah, a bunch of people trophied like yesterday, because trophy number 6 still fit in this this top here. Now trophy 7 barely appears here. Alright, so that was a pretty great league, gotta say. Almost perfect, except a random Chalice of the Void just completely broke us. Sadly, I don't have like, I don't know, some weird firework effects for the stream. I should get something like that for 1v5. Just, I think I'll go for another league, but I'm not sure if I want. I think actually Incinerator Explosives was. I never played it, but the fact that it kills Chalice of the Void no matter what, because they'll never Chalice for 0, is pretty good. All right. Let's open a chest. Thank you. Let's open a chest. As I said yesterday, I like opening one when I have the 11, because gambling is fun, but I just usually sell the rest because gambling is dumb. That's a pretty good chest. 35 play point is really good for a random chest. And we got the puppy. I'm not sure if the puppy is worth anything, but he's a good boy. Yeah, it's basically worthless, but it's actually a pretty decent card. Like in a taxes list, Alright, that was pretty great. So I think we're just gonna play another league. It's still a bit early, and we only did play 3 matches. About the list, I'm not sure if I want to change anything. Like as I said, explosives looks like a pretty good chalice answer, on top of like being good against prowess, and good against random tokens, and being good against a lot of things that I can't even remember right now. So I think that 1 in the board is fine. The Pyroclasm, I still haven't sided them in once, but I also haven't played against a deck that needs it, so I think I'm gonna cut the Pyroclasm for something a little better. So I'm gonna put in 2 Searing Blaze. Two Searing Blaze looks fine there. I'll just search for it. No one classics. It's just that I'm not playing green right now, and because the meta is a bit too aggressive, and the green does come at a cost on our life total. But Clothes is definitely a great card to play in burn. Just not right now, in my opinion. Because our life total is relevant against a bunch of matches. I think we'll go it like this on another league, so if I have time to finish it. I'd like to get 40 qualifier points by Sunday to play the super qualifier. Not sure if that's doable. I need 8 more. And I need at least, yeah, like it's a bit rough. Let's go for it. Burn red white. Yeah, that's it. Did I save the? I hope I saved the matchup print. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Everything's dandy. What is the most played decks right now? Eldrazi is seeing a lot of play. And they do beat us by a mile with Reality Smasher and Thought-Knots here. But Clothes is useless there, so... And then we have... there's lots of control decks, and that's where I like Clothes. But there's also a bunch of random aggro decks. And even though I don't face prowess all that often, people say that it's played a lot. And I see a lot of like league results, like of people that 5-0 that they played a bunch against prowess. So it's always a matchup that I feel that I have to respect when I hear that people are playing it. Maybe I'll try Claudius again tomorrow, sorry. If I end up streaming tomorrow, I'll try Clothes to see how she fares right now. But I think it's a great card. Because against blue decks, they have tons of answers, of course, with bounce effects. But they need to do it on their main phase. Because Clothes is only coming down if they're tapped out. So you have to force them to tap out and then play Clothes, and then they have to answer it immediately. Meaning they have to tap out again, and we just play her again, and then our opponent is pressed for answers, and he can't just counter us and then put play Mystic and put the counter on top and just wait and then just wait a bit. So that I think that Clothes is great against control. It's just that the rest of the field needs to allow us to play the green. It's a one-lander, but it's also a triple Swift Spear hand. We're on the draw, so it's not even a fetch land. We're up against control. To start up, and Goblin Guide here is not great. We have one too many creatures. But creature Oh, Stoneforge, that's not great. That's not great at all. That's actually pretty good. Our opponent doesn't have white. Too bad opponent. No land. Now that's tragic. We just gotta play Swift Spear and hope he doesn't mana leak it. He does mana leak it. That's one counter down. He does find a white. And I think we're out of it. I don't think that we can come back from not finding a land on 2 draws. It was a fine keep. I think that we always have to keep this. Because we have 2 draws to find a land, and that's a lot. Not even now. And we can't even play Goblin Guide. We have to kill the Stoneforge. And we have to kill it on our turn. We're just gonna go for it. If he has Force, we just concede here. We can't beat Batterskull. Yeah. So, that's that. Sadly, a fast game. Now, our plan is smash the smithereens, Skullcrack. I won't play Searing Blaze, even though I want to kill Stoneforge on sight, simply because it can be a dead card for a long ass time. I actually like taking out Boros Charm here. Because it shares its mana cost with everything I'm boarding in, and it doesn't kill creatures. I think this is fine. I don't think I want Surgical. Like, Surgical's great against Uro, and coincidentally it's great looking at their hand if we're playing against control. It's not worth it. This hand's great. This hand is pretty great. So, because my opponent's probably playing Timely Reinforcements, you want to get aggressive with your land situation. I think we just suspend Rift Bolt because it is gonna be hard to justify suspending Rift Bolts if my opponent is on what's it called? The Fairy mana. So again, if my opponent's playing Spell Snare and he snares my turn 2 Eidolon without like a Boros Charm, which I actually cut, or a Skullcrack in hand, or like 2 Lightning Bolts, I cannot justify not playing it. And I'm actually gonna play the Sunbaked Canyon here again to keep my life total down, because if I can keep my life total down long enough that my opponent cannot play Timely Reinforcements gaining life, I'm pretty happy. If he goes Stoneforge here, I'm fine, because I can just attack for 2 and then I can bolt him, and I'll actually leave Stoneforge alive because Smash the Smithereens is... So he has Snapcaster Mage here, obviously. So I'm just gonna bolt him. I will not attack. Eidolon is too valuable here, in my opinion, to justify attacking. So he paths my Eidolon. Okay, that's fine. Yes, I will use the ability. And now I'm in a pretty comfortable position to just crack this Sunbaked Canyon. Although my opponent's pretty low and can get a mean timely reinforcements out. The Fairy Time Raveler's fine. So do I want to crack this? I think that's really non-debatable. And that's not a great one. Especially if I'm going skewer and then he just timelies, I'm just dead. But if I can crack Sunbake to find. I think he would have timely. He would have played. No, I had open mana, so he wouldn't have. So now I can't either way. So he's definitely playing timely next turn, right? So let's just. We can't even get down to 10. That sucks. Well, if we can't do it the easy way, we'll do it the hard way. We'll just bolt him. And these two skewers are just gonna get denied by timely, but if my opponent has it, like, there's really nothing I can do. No, did I? No, 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 no. God damn it. This has happened before. I didn't click the spectacle cost, so I had to cancel the cast, and because I had skipped to my end step. And he's not... So that's weird. He definitely has Cryptic here, right? He definitely has Cryptic Command here. I'm just gonna do the whole sandbag thing. I'm gonna wait until he does something. And if it's timely, then, well, I'm sad, but I suspect my opponent's gonna try and play Batter Skull next turn, this turn. Uro. Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. So we might just lose here. Sadly, seeing what's 6 lands already is not great to push damage through. My opponent is slightly tapped right now. So if we're ever gonna draw Boros Charm, which we did board out some, now's the time. Goblin Guide's not the worst. Goblin Guide's definitely not the worst. But I cannot attack for a very simple reason, because I'll just block, and even though this doesn't have that touch, next turn he untaps, and he taps double Hollowed Fountain for Field of Ruin, kills one of my lands, then he has 5 things in the grave to escape Uro, so I'm just gonna go Rift Bolt to the face because I can never suspend it. Just gonna pass the turn. He even has Darwin's Veto. Okay, I think we're just gone. So now he gets to escape Uro, and we can never Skullcrack the trigger. I think we're just goners. Let's just see if we draw. We can't even draw anything here, right? Yeah, pretty rough game one. When opponent goes Stoneforge and has Force of Negation backup, we have to concede those games. Fight to the end. Yeah, I will, because there's no reason not to, right? Now I actually have a pretty interesting situation here, where I can play 2 Goblin Guides. My opponent can't really comfortably attack me. I'll just push them. Do I want to kill the fairy? No, right. Like, I can just replay anything he bounces. I'm not playing like Incinerator, so... Now it goes back to 10, and I'm on a pretty strict... like... Unless he does like a dumb mistake, like he attacks with both of these and then plays Batterskull, and then I draw Boar's Charm, so I can go, or even a regular old Bolt, and I can go 3 plus 4 here and just lose. But I doubt that he will attack with Quaddle. There's no way he does that mistake. Yeah, we just lose here. Like, we could block, but we have to take it. So... yeah, that's CG. I can block, but that doesn't do anything. Sadly, this is game over. It was 2 pretty close games. Like, I can't be too upset with that. Just game 1, he had it. Game 1 wasn't as good, in my opinion, but game 2 was pretty good. It was a pretty good game. Like, I had a good opener with Bolt into Idol on, and then I flooded a little, but my opponent also didn't just turn 3 timely blindly. So it's fine, it happens. We just 5-0'd, so we can't really be upset about anything right now. Being on the play is always great, and this hand has 4 lands, but it has 2 creatures, a fetch land, and a canopy. So it's a fine keep. It's a fine keep. Just pretty happy that that league turned into a 5-0. Because even if I go 0-5 now, I'm still happy with today's results. Probably against Control again. And Control... whoa, that's not Control. Street rate from a flooded strand. It's Shadow, right? So this is a clear fatal push. And I'm not the biggest fan of this draw. But I'm a big fan of not killing myself with my lands. So I think we can manage this. Just attack. And he's gonna push something. Oh, yeah, he had to discard. He's gonna push the guys. He doesn't, so he's definitely Shadow. And now we play this tapped. This is a Thought Scour. So he's gonna play Gurmag Angler next turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Floods Rend 6. And hopefully it taps out and we draw a Bolt so we can Incinerator. Then he looks like a big dummy. Because ours is just bigger. I haven't played against that Shadow in a while. The deck has fallen a little bit out of flavor. Inquisition. I was not expecting that one. So we can't Incinerator next turn, sadly. So what are our draws here? So Angler's definitely a problem, but this probably means he has no Shadow, which also probably means he has, so drawing Bolt here is fine. Now here's the big question, do I want to save this for a next turn Incinerator? Or do I just say screw it and play it now? Decisions. I think I just play it now. Because he's tapped out, so he can't play the counter spell. Now we're just on this standstill where my opponents can't really attack me because the counter attack is quite good with 2 creatures, one of them being Swift Spear. And if he plays like double Shadow here, I'm just dead. If he plays even a single Shadow is pretty bad for us. Just never block here. And I have no clue what colors my opponent's playing, because Flooded Strand is definitely not a typical Death Shadow card. Let's see what he does here. So he plays a Shadow. It's a 6/6. Ooh. He plays 2 Shadows. Yeah, that's a big one. So what can we do? That's definitely not it. That's a bit better. I think we're just dead, right? I think it doesn't matter what we do. Even if we double block here and we just take 5, we're now at 9. And yeah, we're just dead. No use in keeping. No use in trying if we can't do it. I haven't played against Shadow ever since I started playing Incinerator. But I do know. What do I know? I know I went Path to Exile. Explosives might not be the worst idea. Skullcrack is definitely not great. Now I'm thinking if I want to board out Chandra's Incinerator. I think I'll play them. So I'll just board in. I'm on the play too, so I kind of want to be aggressive. I really want gonna be aggressive here. So I think I'll take out the one Skullcrack for a path to exile. The rest is just aggressive cards. Let's try this. A very decent start. Having Bolt is great, and Silifire, like Silifire and Bolt are pretty great in this matchup because Silifire means I can invest mana early on without really needing to grow his shadow, and Lightning Bolt means I can punish him if he tries to go for lethal and doesn't leave Stubborn Denial up. So let's see, our opponent moles. They're a combo-y, aggro-y deck, so that's... If they mull down to 5, we're a bit happier. Oh, how do we play this? I think we open with the fetch land because, like, deck thinning is not a reason to run fetch lands, but it is a reason to play them when you're already on them. And the reason I play fetch lands in Boros Burn is that fetch lands are actually just the better duel. Like, where's the list? Here it is. So we have we have fast lands, which are probably the best for an aggro deck, as well as Sunbaked Canyon, and then the fetch plus a couple shocks is probably the best one, the best dual lands to run outside of those for an aggro deck. Simply because, and it's not about deck thinning, and it's not about Searing Blaze, because I'm not playing Searing Blaze, at least in the main board. It's mostly about, yeah, and you see my opponent discarded Silifire simply because this card is annoying as heck for them to deal with. It comes down and then it's damage that they cannot play around. And this is a great draw because I can set it up for next turn. I can set it up for next turn without really missing out on damage. So now my opponent has to do something. He shocks here. And the Inquisitions, yeah, like, I can't really play around it. This card is quite good. Fatal Push is annoying, but this means that my opponent, I mean, he wouldn't have been able to save his shadow if he played it. Bolt? That works, actually, because this costs 3 now. So my opponent is on the defensive now. And I don't think that he has a good answer for Incinerator. Except maybe playing a Shadow, blocking, and then using Dismember on Incinerator. And no single draw of mine can kill him if he does that, because he'll be at 5. And best thing I can draw deals 4. And I can't even kill the Shadow with the Incinerator trigger because any damage I deal to him to trigger Incinerator will grow the Shadow. So he's just gonna go Dismember? No? So he just... That was weird. Just wanted to gain 2 life. Because now his Shadow is quite big. It goes down to 3, I think? It goes down to 3. And this Shadow is a 10-10. That's scary. But he discards the Stubborn Denial, meaning he has no blue. And really isn't really looking to getting the blue anytime soon. Because if he's at 3, he can't fetch for it. Because he probably doesn't play Basic Island. And Thought Scourer on top here is great. Again, if he discards the Stubborn Denial, he probably doesn't have the blue land. So he's now at 3. He can't really do much, I think. Like, he plays Shadow. Or Gurmag Angler. Like, Incinerator can still attack. And he just dies. Okay, so Incinerator is definitely great, even though their discard package is pretty good against us. So on the draw, I mean, I'm not sure what I want to do. Like, I think I want to leave Incinerator in, because if they're being fast, they're not being disruptive. If they're being disruptive, they're not being fast, and this card is playable in both those situations. Eidolon's pretty great. Less so on the draw, but it can still make awkward combat steps for them. Do I want to I kind of want to bring Path to Exile to deal with their fast starts, but I'm not sure what to cut. I would hate to cut some creatures, but because creatures really like allow us to hold on to spells to finish the game. We just go with the same deck configuration. This is not the best hand. This is definitely not the best hand. They kept 7, meaning they have a good hand, of course. So do I keep this or do I pitch it? It's the big question. Because I really like Siliphier and Eidolon, but I don't really love Skewer, because this means I have to deal damage to him on my turn. And that just grows his Shadow for his attack. I think that with 2 Canopies and him most likely having a turn 1 discard spell, I'm just gonna mulligan. Much better, much better. I actually really like Siliphier here. Because Siliphier makes combat steps so awkward for them, especially if there's an Eidolon on the table, because then they have to play at 4 life always, even after battle raging, and that can be really hard to do if they want to get their shadows nice and chunky. I'm gonna put a Rift Bolt on bottom. He's just gonna go Inquisition and take my Swift Spear, or he just has push for Swift Spear. Decent draw. So he probably has removal for Swift Spear. So do we want to just play the Seal of Fire and set it up before it gets... If he didn't play a turn 1 discard, I don't think he will ever. Unless he like top decks it. That's not really something we can afford to play around. Our land situation though is not great, because these two lands plus Eidolon can easily mean that we are in a tough spot. Like we're definitely getting attacked by a Shadow or a Gurmag when we're like at 10. This might be collective brutality. Which is fine because we just play Eidolon. Like it's hard to believe he had push, or else he would have played it last turn. Right? Like there's no reason not to play it. I mean, there is. Like push does the same against Swift Spear, so you can just discard it here. I don't know. Let's see what our opponent does. It's definitely brutality. So every mode. I would have loved to have I mean, it would have been the same. He's definitely gonna discard a Boris Charm. Like this card not hitting creatures or enchantments right now is pretty great. I think we just play Eidolon next turn. This tells me he has another one in hand. So Eidolon is definitely the card to play. Bolt is a fine draw. Now here's the awkward thing. Because of our lands, every one of our bolts actually costs us 3 life. So if he plays a Gurmag Angler, we're Tasigur. Wow. They do play that. And now here's the problem. I basically have to kill myself to kill that Tasigur. But I have to kill it. Because if my Eidolon isn't doing damage, or don't I have to kill it? Do I just block with my Eidolon? Or do I want to keep pressure with my Eidolon? There's the Stubborn Denial. I can't even kill it right now, so I'm just gonna suspend this Rift Bolt and not do anything. Yeah, not a great start for me. Maybe I what's it called? I think we block here, right? Like if we don't block here, we're at, see, we get dealt 4, so we're at 7, and we basically cannot tap. Yeah, I think we block here. Sadly, Eidolon wasn't the best card. I might have been I might have not evaluated it properly in this matchup, because it is very awkward against Gurmag, and it is very awkward because our life total matters. My opponent has no stubborn denial, and he had one go off early. So now we're in a bit of a pickle here. As I think that my opponent has Steamer Battle Rage. Meaning that if I go to 8, I won't be able to live next turn. And Goblin Guy here is not great. I think I'm gonna attack. No, what happened? Come on, game. Sometimes the game lags, and when you click your creature, you click it once and it doesn't get declared as an attacker, so you click it again, and when you press OK, it goes like, so you wanted it to attack and then you wanted it to not attack, so it just gets left behind. Sadly. Opponent doesn't really, puts 2 on top. Now he shadows for it. Sorry, he street rates for it. It was a fatal push. So he could be at 7, and I would be dead nonetheless. So I think I'm just dead here. This is 12 damage next turn. Unless I draw Path to Exile. But even then, I kinda need to draw some gas. Yeah. Definitely not great. GG's opponent. I definitely misplayed there. I need to look at that matchup with the new deck list to see what my sideboard plan should be. Because I really haven't played against Shadow all that much recently. And I don't know if Incinerator is worth it. I don't know if I really want Eidolon on the draw. Because as you saw, if they get anything blocking it, it can become a win con for my opponent. So I'm not sure about that matchup right now. So we just trophied and now we're 0-2. Let me just update the current score. We're down 2 games. Let's start playing. I don't love this hand. Enough that I'll mull it. Now I also don't love this hand. That's how life be sometimes. Yeah, definitely. Like our games, like game 1 against match 1, game 1 against Control wasn't really close, but game 2 was pretty close. And now the Shadow, the whole matchup was very tight. I'm really not upset if I lose those. Like, I get upset if I lose. I get a little bit salty if I lose those matchups where like my opponent just goes turn 3 ad nauseum win and I like can't do anything because he started with the ley line on board. Let's keep this because I really don't want to move down to 5. And sadly, we just bottomed the Porous Charm. We're shuffling it back, and we need a white source. We open with a creature in case he reveals something. Now, ideally, we draw land here, of course. My opponent is on blue. We draw the Porous Charm, the good old MTGO bottom scry bug. I don't think that on 1 blue mana my opponent can really do anything, right? Still not sure what I'm playing against. Blue is a very popular color. Opt could be anything. Scalding Tarn could be anything. Land? Not a land. Now here's the thing. I'd love to keep Lightning Bolt up in case this is a Snapcaster. That's actually... But I also want to keep Bolt up in case this is Storm. I'm just gonna attack. Sadly, a weak Swift Spear attack. But if this is Storm, I can't really let my opponent play an Enabler and go off from there. And Storm can be fetchless, but people also play it with fetch lands to splash the green for Veil of Summer. Flooded Strands tells me that it could still be anything. Alright, so... Do I gamble here? That it's Storm? That it's not Storm? Because now my opponent has to take action. He has to steal my Swift Spear with his Archmage Charm. He hard casts Force of Negation. Alright. It's definitely control. Goblin Guide isn't... I still need a land. But like now he's down to 9. And he's gonna draw a bolt. Hopefully he doesn't have a land here. So I don't have to fear Archmage Charm plus Lightning Bolt. And he immediately goes for it. And doesn't have a land. Alright, so I'm a bit happier with that. If I could just draw a land here, that would be great. So here's the move. I play Seal of Fire. And I'd love to play Lava Spike to put my opponent down to 1, or lethal if he doesn't have Snapcaster. Like, but if this is a mana leak, then he's at 2 from this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. I think I just prefer using my Rift Bolt. Like if this is a Snapcaster, it doesn't have any value. Shark Typhoons, so he's letting the damage go through. It's down to 5. I could go for it, But with 2 mana up, he could have mana leak. He has 6 card in hands. Um, he could have Force of Negation. He hardcast one, doesn't mean he doesn't have a second one ready to go. I'm just gonna suspend this Rift Bolt and let my next turn be scarier, with one spell coming from suspend and having 2 spells in hand and having a board to deal with, and him being at a theoretical 3 because of Seal of Fire, which is effectively uncounterable. And him drawing Shark Typhoon here means he doesn't have the 4th land, so everything's going well for us. This is game 3, right? I'm 0-2, yeah, game 3. So opponent's not doing it. Sorry. Opponent's not doing anything. I think they're dead. Like he has something for this. Or else he would have conceded, I guess. So he has Force, Exile, and Cryptic Command, which he couldn't play. Okay, so now we draw something. Incinerator is actually pretty fine. Now we attack to force his hand. He doesn't have Archmage Charm. He does draw land now. He snaps for the bolt. What do I want to do here? If he has Force, I'm gonna let him. Do I want to kill the Snapcaster? Yeah, I think I really want to kill the Snapcaster. Because now I can Boros Charm, and even if he forces. So he's bolting the Goblin Guide, which is correct from his point of view. Because I could have an instant to grow my Swift Spear, which I do. Which I will play. To get him down to 1 if he doesn't have Force. It doesn't have the 3rd Force. Alright. So yeah, Incinerator is pretty bad in this matchup. I'm gonna side him out. And my opponent being on Blue Moon, most likely, means I kinda want Smashed Smithereens. It's like a risky card to bring in, because if they don't find their single Dragon's Claw that they usually run, it's a dead card. Is there a problem with the stream? So if they do find their Dragon's Claw, we just lose. I don't think it's reasonable that we can fight both Dragon's Claw and like their counter spells. I'm not a big fan of Skullcrack because they gain incremental life gain. But I also don't want to bring anything other than Smashed Smithereens. Or do I want to sideward out the Skullcrack for Surgical? Does Surgical have good hits? Probably yes. I'm also a fan of boarding out Boros Charm. I'm not sure if Blue Moon players frequently side out their moons, but Blood Moon does get annoying because our canopies then become normal lands, mountains, and our Boros Charms just don't work. So I'm actually gonna go like I'm gonna keep this in, and I'm gonna bore the Charms out. These 3 Skull Cracks because they're castable on their moon, and I'm gonna fill it up with Surgicals. Because the hand peak is pretty good against control. I can't lie. So we got him game 1, and winning game 1 against control is pretty key. Because game 1 they're not really prepared. This hand is not great. Like, it has no pressure. Like 3 lands and 4 spells. It's pretty good. But this is like 11 damage. Yeah, I can keep this. This is not great. I like this one way more. And I think Seal of Fire is the bottom here. Even if it's a cool trick to have to kill blockers or being uncounterable damage. So main phase opt tells me that my opponent just wants to f6 probably. So I was always gonna fetch, but with a draw here I'm definitely fetching. I'm fetching for a basic because if my opponent is on Thing in the Ice, I kinda need to kill it. Hopefully my opponent didn't keep Dragon's Claw. Did he mole? He's kept 7. So maybe he just had a good hand. This is either Aether Gust or Mana Leak. And because it could be Aether Gust, I'm not going to be pumping up the Swift Spear. I'm gonna play a good old game of chicken. He lets the damage go through. So now I have Skullcrack as an instant to punish, not to punish, but to force him to interact with me on his end step. He shocks himself, which represents something. It could be Bolt, or it could be Archmage's Charm. And Charm stealing our Swift Spear is pretty annoying. Bolt killing our Swift Spear, not as annoying, but there she is again. It's like she never left. My opponent might be on Aether Gust, so I think I want to put him down to 12 with the Swift Spear. But if he gusts me, I think he would have gusted the Swift Spear last turn, right? So I think we put it on top. Like, it's a good card to have. This is the 4th land. Okay. So he's gonna get Platinum Empyrean. I should have bolted him before that. That was dumb of me. So now I want to do this. Now if I can't find Smash the Smithereens, I just lose. This is a new combo that people are trying. Again, it beats Prowess pretty well and it beats Burn pretty well. For some reason people really hate those matchups. Even if they're not all that common. So opponent being on Platinum Empyrean, does it change anything? It doesn't, right? Like, I'm not gonna play Path for... I mean, I kinda have to, right? I actually have to. I cannot beat a Platinum Empyrean. The opponent is always tempted to tap out for it. No lands. To a decent hand. I'm gonna bottom the Path to Exile. I'm not gonna delay myself. So, unless my opponent goes land Bolt, I'm pretty happy. Like Goblin Guide only dealing 2. It's not great. I hope... So I revealed the mountain. So if he has the Lightning Bolt, I'm just screwed. Big time. Okay, so he's not bolting me on his own step. Obviously he's gonna wait for my Goblin Guy to reveal his next card. And I will. Like, Goblin Guide gives me pretty great value by revealing a card. He doesn't even bolt it. That's weird. So I'm just gonna jam a bunch of spells here. So he's down to 10. And that remand is pretty useless against us. We might have Thing in the Ice. So this is Aether Gust or Remand. Okay, so I just play it again. Now, Anger of the Gods is pretty rough, so we reveal the Gust. We even know that is coming. Yeah, like, Goblin Guide's ability, in my opinion, is an upside so much more often than a downside. So now we know we're getting gusted. And drawing Bolt here is pretty great, means that if he fetches we have lethal. We'll kind of force him to gust so that we can then play our hand. Tactically holding off on spells to not pump Swift Spear is pretty great. It puts tons of pressure on the opponent. It's a game of chicken, so he gusts the Swift Spear. We're gonna put it on bottom because we now are starting to look into having actual damage. We're gonna attempt to seal a fire. Not gonna play the other one, because if he cracks this, our bolt is lethal. Go for it. Do we want to go for it? Not really. If he tries to madcap next turn, we'll just have it and kill him. And then he cannot crack this, or else he dies. Yeah, he misplayed. He definitely didn't want to play that Tarn, or didn't notice that Tarn was lethal with my Seal of Fire there. Overall, pretty great game. The madcap into Platinum Empyrean thing is kinda popular now. People are trying it as a anti-red sideboard strategy. I really can't say I like it. Like, using 5 sideboard slots to beat red just doesn't seem optimal for online play. We got the 6th trophy. I'm pretty happy about that, actually. One of the reasons I like Seal is creating states like this. An opponent locked out or from doing stuff can be counter-released once it's on. Yeah, Seal is pretty... We're up against Doomwake. It's pretty popular. And this hand is garbage. Yeah, Seal of Fire is really great. Keep this. I'm gonna do something weird. I'm gonna pitch Boros Charm to make sure I turn to Incinerator here. Especially if my opponent's on Tron. My opponent's definitely on Tron. Probably Eldrazi Tron. And this plays really well around Chalice. But on Seal of Fire, the card is really great. Like, investing mana on turn 1 or 2, or even 3, and not having to point it immediately is amazing. Like, it kills Icefang Quaddle, so they can't flash it in to kill something. It kills Snapcaster in the same way. It makes uncounterable damage on the stack, which is very relevant against control if they're on a low amount of HP and need to manage that. So it's pretty great. Like, obviously you need, like, it's almost playable, so you need one more reason to play it. When Lurrus was, you know, playable, Seal of Fire was great, and now that Incinerator, in my opinion, is a good card that you want to be playing, Seal of Fire is just playable. Was played much before Lurrus came out. M. Ayashi, the trophy leader, played it a while ago. My reasoning was that he was playing it because... So I have to Vantage here, sadly. He was playing it because... it enables Spectacle. Like, you can play it, trigger Prowess. He played it in the Prowess build, and it triggers Prowess when you play it, but then you can hold off on the damage until you need the Spectacle trigger, because he played 4 Skewer 4 Light Up the Stage. That was the first time I saw it being played in Modern. Is this just Karn? So my opponent mulls to 3, blind, and finds Natural Tron into Wormcoil. I wish I were this good at Magic. I keep finding lands. Wow, this is actually amazing. Now I regret bottoming that Boros Charm, because that Boros Charm kills Wormcoil with first strike, and then deal 6. My opponent attacks, obviously, and I have to let it go through. Now my opponent fetches Ensnaring Bridge or Trinisphere. Just bridge, okay. So now his Wormcoil can't attack. Which is an awkward situation for him. I keep drawing lands. I'll just play them. Like, I'm just gonna kill Karn. Because now we're at a standstill. My opponent definitely has the advantage because he's playing Tron, so his top decks are just good. But so are mine. Like, I don't want to kill Wormcoil, because my opponent's never going to be at 6 cards for Incinerator to attack. But he might go up to 3 for his tokens to attack, so I'm just going to keep jamming damage here. It has to deal the 3 damage, but since I don't have any more burn spells, I don't have to kill it. My opponent plays Ulamog and I lose. No, because he has bridge. Oh, he okay, so yeah, just lose. Alright. Good job, opponent. Nice, we just still drawn a land. So I think that this is Green Tron, and against Green Tron Incinerator is not great, because they do have the answers. Like, their Planeswalkers are so good, because they cost so much, that any one of them can answer Incinerator, and even Wormcoil can just brick Incinerator for a while. I'm gonna bring in Skullcrack, I'm gonna bring in Smashed Smithereens, I'm gonna take out Incinerator, and I want to take out Eidolon. It's really not great. And I like boarding path in, like a couple, just to make sure that my other creatures are going through Wormcoil. Error 1 and 2. We kind of want to win this one, to be honest. It's not a great hand. Much better. You'll have to... It's the Rift Bolt, right? It's a tad slow. We kind of want Skull Cracking because my opponent gets funny. We obviously play Goblin Guide here. No real science to it. Hopefully no Tron pace. This league is definitely not destined for greatness. And he even teases me with a different one. So we just go Bolt here. And attack him down to 10. Stirrings is a fine draw for my opponent. Like, he either Trons or has the green. He can't do both. So he plays mine. Like, he obviously has Tron. Boros is a great draw here. Boros Charm is a real great draw. I'm even protected against Trinisphere. opponent's thinking. He's probably looking at sideboard. So he plays Karn Liberated. He's probably gonna eat a land. He eats Goblin Guide. This puts me in a tough position. But I think I have to go for it. Because his next turn is gonna be down tick Karn on one of my lands and fetch Trinisphere. We have it. Alright, so that's at least game 2 for us. Alright. I think it's the same configuration. Like path for worm coils, smash smithereens for things. I love this hand. Like 2 guides is a ton of pressure. Especially on the play, where I need a strong opener. Like being a one-lander is risky, but I'm up against Tron, where I am either fast or I just lose. Let's see if my opponent doesn't turn 3 Tron. Now this I don't love. Hopefully this guy doesn't reveal a Tron piece that he doesn't have in hand. Okay, that's fine-ish. Alright, so that's an Ancient Steerings going off, and him fighting. Just to draw a card? Alright. That was weird. I need a land. Big sad here. Yeah, I needed a land. I think the keep was always a good keep. He has it, and he now plays Karn or Worm Coil. Of course he did. Has to be Worm Coil. No, I can't even Skull Crack it. Which is pretty sad. I'm not gonna attack. I'm not gonna do the Seal of Fire trick where I block and then kill it. Because if he's gonna attack me, I'm gonna attack back. Making him just gain 1. Unless he Karns and now Trinispheres. Yep. That's game, I think. That's just game, right? I can't even survive 2 turns of Wormcoil hitting me. It happens. Like, Tron mulls pretty well. Like, I can't be too mad. Game 1 pissed me off a little bit because he mulled to 3 to find exactly what he needed. But I mean, with a London mulligan, that's actually like pretty good. I'm not sure if he knew what I was on. Like, if he did, it's understandable that he mulled to 3. If he didn't and just played it safe, because I do have the Chandra icon, so it's like this person's probably on aggro. This person's probably on control, so a solid hand we have here. Let's fetch for a basic, get guide down, and attack. Now we're just playing for sympathy play points, because we're 1 and 3. But still, after that 5-0, I'll never be mad about the following league. Eidolon here is pretty great. And I don't know what this land situation is. So I'm gonna force my opponent to kill the Goblin Guide. This is a classic burn trick. You attack with the Goblin Guide without playing a land, and your opponent goes, okay, so he doesn't have anything. Now I can just play land Eidolon, which is great against control. So Assassin's Trophy. That's actually amazing for us. Look at this. Now we play Swift Spear. And we play Eidolon. We have a goddamn good next turn. My opponent Uros is really not gaining much. It's pretty bad. He has the land. He has 2 lands. And even plays a 3rd one that we didn't know about. Oh. Play the guide. We play the seal. We pop the seal. Play skewer. We attack for a lot. Attack for 7. And now we suspend Rift Bolt. Now my opponent has a lot of things to take care of. He needs to take care of the suspended Rift Bolt. He needs to take care of this Eidolon, which he probably will with Abrupt Decay. And he still needs to take care of these 2 creatures. So if he only takes care of one problem, he loses. So he decays my Eidolon. And now he has to take care of... I have 3 cards that he has to take care of. Goyf is great, except it isn't, because he just loses. Unless he has a push. He definitely has a push there. But he still loses, because this is gonna put him down to 1 and he can't crack that. Yep, we just realized it. We would have run a bolt and we could even draw a land. Oh. Alright, so we definitely... Against blue it's always dangerous to play Incinerator, because we're gonna board in Gust. This is our plan. And if we're taking out... Between Rift Bolt and Seal of Fire, I think I'd rather take out Seal of Fire, sadly. Because I need to take one of them out. because they're, in my opinion, the worst bolts behind the true 1-mana bolts and Skewer, and these two are like tied for worst, in my opinion. But tied for worst in a modern deck is still very good. I think I'd still fire, because with them gaining life, I kind of need the every little bit of extra HP. And even though they're playing Goyf, I don't want a sideboard in Path to Exile. Doesn't sound great. I don't love this hand, but it has Surgical, and I can guarantee that my opponent kept an Uro hand. So I'm gonna keep this. It has good damage. And I know that I lost against Tron because I kept a 1-lander. Duress. Wow, I was not expecting that. That's a surprise. And it takes away lightning bolts, understandably so. I draw second surgical. It's not the worst draw, because just in case my opponent is playing Weather the Storm, which of course he is, because people just love that card. But I can still do things. I can still do nasty things to him with two of them. So, what is this? Aethergust? It's Aethergust, I'm fine with it. Am I fine with it? I am fine with it now. I wouldn't have been, because I would have to bottom it, because I would need the second land. I would just do this. And now they know about Skull. They know about our whole hand, so they will likely play around Skullcrack. Sadly, so I'm just gonna tell them: if you wanna play Uro, play Uro, and it's the last Uro you'll see. I don't understand this land situation. I do understand this land situation. Friend again, I prefer Omen of the Sea. I thought about it for a bit and talked with people about it. I think Omen just does so much more on the first cast. Opponent doesn't even shock himself. Could I even be cheeky and just remove inventory from his deck? I think that's just a bad move, right? A decent draw. Second inventory. That's fine. Like, my objective is crack the Uro, surgical Uro, and then just slowly kill him. That's not great. That's... Okay, so this isn't really a control deck. It's like a mix between control and mid-range, which in my opinion is far worse. Second Skullcrack is pretty good. The fact that I'm still at 20 life is also pretty good, because this isn't that much of a clock right now. Hopefully... So this pretty much bricks all my creatures. Alright, so this has to be done right now. Yeah, like Kalidas. That's a rough one. So he has Assassin, so he doesn't have anything for me to... Is he playing Weather the Storm? He's not. He's playing 2 Kalidas. So Path to Exile is actually good here. And I won't remember what his hand is, but I think only one card matters, Kalidas. So this is fine. I think my opponent only knew about one Surgical Extraction. He probably plays Kalidas now, which is annoying to say the least. Quite annoying. Because now I have to crack him. And now if he... Though... He didn't have an answer for Skullcrack in hand. So I can just do this, right? And he can't answer. So now he's dead to pretty much anything. And he didn't have that Watery Grave in hand, if I remember correctly, so that was his draw, so his hand is bad right now. And him, I mean, he has Assassin's Trophy, so a creature won't do here, sadly. And I think I'm dead if I don't draw a bolt here. Or can I? If I go down to 8. I mean, if I don't draw damage here, this thing just beats me. So I'm gonna fetch. Hopefully hit something that isn't a land or a creature. That works. Okay. GG opponent. Like, actually going 2-3 instead of 1-4 is relevant because the play points allow you to keep going strong. So I'm not gonna play anymore. We had a great first league, finishing the yesterday's 2-0 into a 5-0, which was pretty darn great. And then we had a rough 2-3. That 2-3 we lost against Stoneforge, where game 1 we couldn't really do anything. If they go Stoneforge and have force to keep it on board, you can't really do anything, because if we wait for their turn they can just activate it either way, and we just die to a turn 2 or turn 3 Better Skull game 1. Then we lost to Death Shadow, where I think that I didn't board correctly, and then we lost to Tron because Tron did Tron things, and I kept a risky one lander that I maybe shouldn't have, but like Tron is always, it's always up if my opponent just draws well or not. But I don't know, I'm gonna pin it on my mistake of keeping a one lander, as decent as it was with multiple creatures. Like, I'm on 19 lands, which is really one too few. Someone just subscribed. Thank you for the subscription. I hope that thunder wasn't too loud. I put it in today, and I'm really not sure if it was too loud. But thank you for the follow. I'm just finishing up here. 19 lands isn't that many, so keeping one-liners is a real risk, which I try to avoid. But against Tron on the draw, I think that might be the correct decision. Not sure how likely I am to draw a second land in 2 draws. It's not awful, I think. Well, either way, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to stream frequently. Not sure how my future schedule will be, at least for August. But I hope you enjoyed it, and we got the trophy, which was great. Let's see if we can get another one tomorrow, if I do end up streaming tomorrow. But either way, thank you and see you tomorrow.